Hello and welcome to Andy's Attic. These are some of my Lego trains. There's many others still in boxes, but I thought it'd be interesting to show off some of them and share with the Lego community what can be built with Lego to supplement the sort of train sets that you buy from the shops. So I've got some of the stuff out. I'm going to pan the camera around here. So at the end there's a very interesting looking shunter. It's probably one of the smallest types of locomotive that you can build with Lego and still get a battery box in there. And if you go to the Rebrickable site you can find the instructions for that shunter together with some trucks. Very nice model indeed. Next to it is one of the versions of the winter Christmas train together with a truck full of Christmas trees. And then on the right is one of the ghost train locomotives. This is one which I've subsequently put a battery box in and an infrared receiver so it can be powered. Lovely set, the ghost train set. The only big drawback with it was that it simply wasn't powered. Bit of a shame if you want to run it on tracks, but it is possible. Then, talking about trains that aren't powered, we've got some from the Spiderman train rescue set. Absolutely lovely set. It's quite difficult to find on eBay, but difficult to run on a railway layout because the wheels are absolutely tiny. Puny wheels, very difficult to get a motor in there. Unless, of course, you decide to enlarge it, make it bigger. And in the background, perhaps we'll have a close-up of this, is a mock that I've done, one that I've built myself. And you can see there the power, the battery box is clearly in the bit where the windows aren't in the second unit there. And those are on a normal train base with normal train size wheels. Looks very nice running around the layout. Maybe we'll get that running at some stage. At the moment I've just taken loads of stuff out of boxes where they've been in long-term storage. Here's another version of the ghost train together with a double-decker club car, together with a normal coach, very similar to the Emerald Knight coaches except clearly different colours. And look at the fluorescent yellow handles, door handles with the imaginary doors. Of course if you're a ghost or a phantom you don't need proper doors, you can just walk straight in anyway. If you walked in there though you'd find it a bit of a electrifying experience, if you pardon the pun, because it's got, guess what, it's got a Lego battery box, power functions, and it's got a infrared receiver on. I'll try and get a little bit closer, you can perhaps see on the top. On the top we've got a very nice looking feature which is a couple of spiders. Moving along, some more ghost train units. Obviously there's no motor in those because you don't need it, because we've got the power car in the B unit just behind it. And then moving on to the right we've got another little shunter, this time all in black, and behind that is a steam train from my own train. At the front here we've got a Hogwarts Express together with a clearly what's a non-standard tender, because guess what, I've extended the tender to put a battery box and a motor in it. Lovely to see that going around the layout. You can see here some old favourites, some Lego Santa Fe units. Some of those have been rebuilt in the modern light bluish grey instead of the original plain light grey. And if I scroll the camera around you can see a blue unit. You can get the instructions for this on Rebrickable. Slightly different to the original design because it's got those round porthole windows. Very clever design indeed. Available on Rebrickable. I'm not on commission, I've just taken, in fact I bought the instructions off Rebrickable to use myself. Then there's another version over there of the Hogwarts Express, this time with the puny small tender. Behind that you can see a couple of the BNSF, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad locomotives, one of which is original, they're quite hard to find these days, with the yellow base, and the other is one that I've built myself using parts, at least the parts that are readily available. Of course the base being yellow is not one that's very common at all. Behind in the background there you can see one of the remote control trains, which was a green sort of crocodile type train, but it's quite tall. And then you see a red one next to it right in the background. That's one I built myself using available parts. And then in the background, a bit dark in the far corner of the layout there, but there's a couple of helicopter trucks which I've converted. In fact there's some more blue track, remember that? Blue Lego track and grey Lego track that the Spiderman train is on. Trying out now a different angle, you can see the Santa Fe locomotive, or one of them, in the foreground there. And if I move round to the left of that, you can see an old steam train. That's using the My Own Train sets, if you can still find them. They're very hard to find these days. And behind that there's a brown and tan locomotive and a red and black and white locomotive behind it. Certainly the red and the black locomotive with the white stripe, that's one that you can build if you're lucky enough to have the hobby train set. The hobby train set was perhaps one of the last train sets which LEGO released during the 9-volt era, designed for a 9-volt motor to be pushed underneath the locomotive and for metal tracks. Those two trains are one of the few trains that you could build using the My Own Train set, where it was quite easy to adapt them for a battery box and a power functions receiver. The brown and tan one, I built that in that colour scheme simply so it could match the Emerald Knight train coaches, but they're not out on the layout at the moment. Different view there of the blue Santa Fe train. Really is a lovely, lovely, lovely train, that one. And I'll pan out again. Another view of the layout from perhaps an elevated position. It really does show how much space this LEGO stuff does take up in the attic. And if we pan round, you can see the dark corners of the attic and see what's there. Some interesting red hopper wagons there that came from the remote control set, except for the yellow one, which was built by scratch. And if you don't like red hopper wagons, there's some tan and blue and black hopper wagons there which come from the My Own Train series. There really is an awful lot that you can do and make with LEGO. So it really was a very quick whistle-stop tour of some of the trains which are out on the layout at the moment. There's so many, in fact, that not much space for any of the trains to run, but most of them are capable of being adapted to run even with the plastic tracks which I've got down at the moment. There's some that are still in boxes, such as the Maersk train and the Horizon Express. I've got that in orange, and I've made a my own creation mock, or modification rather, of that in blue. That's very nice. Perhaps I should get that out. So if I've inspired you by something you've seen here and you'd like to see it running, just put something in the comments box and then I can clear everything away and just put a handful of selected sets that you've chosen to see running, and perhaps make the loops a little bit bigger as well. There's a lot here and you don't see it very often, so this is my chance to perhaps give something back to the LEGO community and perhaps inspire people to see what can be done with some of the sets and how they can be adapted to make some very interesting models indeed. So if you like what you've seen, please press the subscribe button and check back to see what else I've been able to get running on the tracks. Bye for now.